Good morning, it's Shanna. We are back for shelf 6, I'm pretty sure. The last video I said shelf 5. I'm hoping I'm right. If I'm wrong, it will show in the title. So just go with whatever the title says. Okay, this is the top shelf in the cabinet that I keep in my guest room. Not that you need to know that, but like, I don't know, maybe you're curious. We're going to start with my obsession with Paulina Faye. So the first deck I will show is the Paulina Tarot. This was my, as I like to call it, my first deck. This is the deck I bought when I came back to tarot, and for that reason I adore it. And for that reason, I think this is going to be the deck that I will dedicate to using for magical workings. And I keep bringing it up, but I'm so intrigued and fascinated by the video that Carrie made about working with tarot for magical workings, rituals, that kind of thing. And when she was talking about dedicating a specific deck, or potentially, if you wanted to, dedicating a specific deck to those workings and not using it for anything else, I think I want to do that with this deck because I love it. But I don't really use it for readings necessarily. I feel like if I'm going to do a reading with one of her decks, I usually reach for the Joie de Vie, which, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I love this. I love her artwork. I'm drawn to it. This gives me very I don't know, for me, early 20s vibes. I don't know why specifically, but they're cozy without being too soft. They're just a little bit of an edge, just a little bit of sarcasm, just a little bit of darkness maybe. I don't know. I love this deck. I've edged this one in multiple colors. I used Crayola metallic markers for these, and it's a pretty cool effect. I mean, it's almost like they've been gilded. I don't know. Crayola metallics. Who knew? A little bag. Now, I don't have the box for this because, like I said, it was my very first one when I came back to tarot, and I just didn't really know that I should keep boxes. So I actually bought a backup copy. Again, because it was my second and my very first deck, which I will show today, I rehomed, a couple decades, few decades after I first purchased it, and I regretted it. So, yeah, that's that one. Okay, next, we're going to go through all of Paulina's decks because these are all on my top shelf. So the next one I have is her Fairy Guidance Oracle. This is out of print for a few years now, I believe, but I've heard both on her website and random other little whisperings on YouTube that this is coming back into print. I think she's calling it something else, but to my knowledge, it's just a reprint. I don't know what any of the differences will be. Will she add or take out cards? The backs might be different. I have no idea. Things might be different. But this is a little guidebook. It's a little chunky girl. And you get, for each one, kind of a little mantra, I guess. A mantra. Shanna, geez. And then you get a few, several pages of write-up. So it's a sweet little deck about fairies. And this is probably why I've never needed or felt drawn to buying the Brian Froud fairy deck. Obviously, they're very different energies, for sure. But I don't really need that one when I have this one. If I'm going to work with fairy energy, which I don't, but if I ever wanted to, this would be the deck I would go to for that. So I will quickly flip through each of these because I don't recall seeing a lot of walkthroughs of this one. And, I actually got this one for regular price. I didn't buy it secondhand. I had looked for it for a while, for a few months. And then there was one day I just thought, I'm just going to type it in Google and see what pops up. If there's any random little shops out there that carry it. And I think I went into the third Google search page, which who does that? And there was a shop and they had it for sale. I think it was like $35. And I was like, well, 35 bucks if it's a scam, you know, I'm only out 35 bucks. So I took a chance and they sent it, and yeah, this is a legitimate deck. I was pretty thrilled with the find, so it's a lovely one. And because it's kind of got that vintage yellow color, it goes with a lot of the decks I use. And I very much enjoy the messages on it. So, all right, next is the Spirit Song. This one I really just bought because I realized I was collecting all of her decks. I don't really use it. I don't really like the key. I love that it's got the different backgrounds, as you know. I don't love that it has keywords. It's not that I don't like the keywords chosen. It's just that the keywords take me completely out of the reading because I'm not able to use my intuition when I see these keywords. You know, that's what I'm seeing. But I thought this would be a great deck for a beginner, such as the aforementioned not yet in existence grandchildren. So I hold on to it, and you know, obviously I'm going to hold on to it anyway because, like I said, I've collected all of hers. So at this point, I may as well have all of hers. This one's very pastel and sweet. It almost has kind of like an inner child feel to me. But, you know, I've only used it maybe a couple of times. But it wasn't one that I just felt like, oh yes, this is a deck that I need to read with. So, but I enjoy having it. I like seeing the collection of them all together on my shelf. So here are the backs. Next is the Witchlings, which I adore this deck. This is another like mommy nostalgia vibes for me. Here are the backs. This, I just don't know what the artwork is, but it just has this like look and feel about it. And maybe it's literally just the trend of that decade, you know, or whatever that is reminding me, but it gives me all the feels. We've got different color backgrounds again. This deck is very cool. The guidebook is very cool because for every card, you get the keyword, which I believe is, you know, at the top of the card. And then you get the name of the fairy, or excuse me, of the little witch. And then it kind of gives you just a little message from her, basically. And then it goes into the card itself. And then it gives you like, I think there's like 3 rituals for every single card. Make sure we're recording. Oh, goodness. Okay. So this one gives you a confidence bath, confidence blooming, inner strength glow, little mantra here. There's a 4th ritual. And yeah, every single card you get, I want to say 3 or 4 at least. Yeah, this one's got 3. I mean, how cool is that? Like you draw a card, you get your message, and then there's a really simple, relatively simple ritual. And I just think that's such a cool concept. So yeah, I mean, I don't use this a lot, but I do use it and it's been fun. And honestly, one time my oldest daughter called me. It was really sweet. She told me her friend was struggling and her friend is into like witchy kind of things. And she asked me to do a ritual for her friend who asked her to ask me. You know, this was all on the up and up. Everyone knew what they were getting into. And so I pulled out this deck, pulled a card, and then I took a picture of the page with a ritual that her friend could do. And she said it really helped, you know? Like, I don't really know like the outcome of whatever the issue was at the time, but it was fun. And I like having this as like an option. Like it's a very safe, you know, it doesn't have like any, like no one's, you're you know, as long as you're oh my goodness, as long as you're aware that these are witchy type rituals, they're very, I don't know, what's another better word? It's just, they're safe, right? People aren't going to feel confrontational about them or scared, I guess, of them. And I love this deck. It's a favorite. I've contemplated getting a backup of this, but I'm like, I can't get backups of every deck that I love. So I probably won't. I just need to love the ones that I have and enjoy them for what they are. But this is a That's a favorite. All right, next I have, this isn't tarot or oracle, it's just a playing cards, but Paulina Faye came out with it, I want to say 2 years ago. She did a Kickstarter, again, with these stinking tuck boxes. Here are the backs. It's linen, which is very nice. I don't know about you, but I like to see it on camera. It's just a thing. They're very cute, very flexible, very shuffleable, and every card has a different image. So, and obviously it's Halloween themed. I do kind of wish this was an oracle versus playing cards, because I don't really use playing cards. As you can tell, it's still in order. But you know, if I ever took the time to learn playing cards, which I know Danny has a whole tutorial on her, a series on her channel about how to use playing cards. I just love this one. Then I could use this. But for now, I'm just happy to have it as part of my Paulina collection. So I just love her artwork. And that is Halloween Dreams playing cards. I don't know if this is still available. I don't know if she only made it a Kickstarter thing. I'm not sure. Check out her website. She's got all links and everything on there. So if it is, I'm assuming the information for it will be there. All right, next, the Fantasma Tarot. I have used this one, not often or regularly, but I prefer it over the Spirit Song if I was going to use kind of this energy. It's so satisfying. I don't really know the vibe of this deck. I like it. I pull it out. I don't know that it necessarily has like a job or a specific energy about it. Did I just say that? I think I did. But it's a little bit moodier. You kind of get more of like the blues and grays in this one. And I enjoy that. It's kind of, if I'm feeling blue, but maybe not necessarily depressed, because this probably isn't one that I would go to if I was feeling depressed. But, you know, maybe if I'm just feeling kind of low energy. I think this is a good low energy. Look at this one. Oh, I just love this. This is a good deck for a low energy day. It just doesn't take a lot of effort. It's gentle. It's very quiet. Even the kind of wild and crazy ones, it's very quiet. It's a whisper deck for me. Look at this lady. Oh, I just love her. It's like she's got her patchwork quilt blanket here. She's also got like skulls in her hair and fish. I just love this one. Look at him with his little band-aid. Poor little guy. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. This is a quiet day. I just, I want a message, but I don't want it screamed at me. I just want it to gently whisper it to me. This will be the deck that I go to. Love it. And I do enjoy Paulina's guidebooks. Most of them are relatively short write-ups for each of the cards, but the messages she writes are very poignant. And I want to say most of the time they hit right on center. So next is the Pixiekins. I love this little one. This one reminds me very much of my elementary school days. There was, and I think, okay, so I've showed this deck before, and I mentioned that it reminded me of elementary school because there was some artwork and stickers that this reminds me of. And someone mentioned, I think it was like a catalog that you could buy stickers, you could buy like address labels, if I remember right, and like stationery. And I feel like the person who commented mentioned the name of that magazine, and I'm pretty sure they were right, but I can't remember what it is. So why am I telling you? I don't know. Just because it feels very nostalgic. Much younger me nostalgic, before I had kids, before I left, my parents' home. That's what this is for me. It's not really an inner child deck. I wouldn't say that I would use it for that. But I don't know, it just has its own unique energy. And I've used this deck, ironically, with the Witches Tarot by Burning Paper Hearts, and it looks beautiful together. I was shocked and pleased, and it's an interesting combination because that deck I use very much for like my now energy, like as a 49-year-old woman. And this obviously is, you know, much younger me. And so maybe this is kind of like, I don't know. There are multiple things I think I could use this deck for, which I'm not really gonna go into right now because I feel like that's a whole conversation. And maybe I'll do a video, you know, showing the pair of them together, because I do feel like it has something unique. And I think I'm actually going to write a note for myself after I finish with this deck so that I remember this. Look at her. I don't know. It's gorgeous. Okay, I'm making a note. Okay. All right, moving on. I have one more by Paulina Cassidy, depending on when she published the deck. I think her earlier decks is by Paulina Cassidy. And that's the Magic Makers. This is her most recent deck. I almost didn't get this one because it's so similar to all her other decks. It doesn't really feel unique or special in any way. However, because I have all her other decks, I did buy it. And I think when I have a chance to pull this out and use it in for whatever need I have in that moment, I think it will then become, you know, a deck for that purpose. And I have no problem holding on to it. I won't flip through each of these because I know there's been at least a handful of walkthroughs because it's such a new deck. I do kind of wish that Paulina maybe sort of would, and this is maybe me just being ignorant, okay? I do wish she would evolve in her artwork a little bit, and maybe she has, and I'm just not seeing it as a person who doesn't know art well. You know, I'm not well versed in that. But it feels very much the same as her other decks. And so that's just kind of, you know, in my lack of experience, it's just kind of a bummer. But that's okay. I don't mind. Still love it. Keep it. Okay. Next up. This is How to Be a Wildflower deck. This one has a handful of cards, literally, that I don't love. The rest are being used as bookmarks. I use them as cards in my tarot journal, like for spells or rituals. I like to have a selection of these, both in my nightstand and here in my desk drawer, so that when I'm reading a book, I can flip through and find the card that feels most relatable, I guess, to that book. And I use them as bookmarks. So I just, you know, this deck isn't really usable for me, so I don't mind using it in that way. I love her artwork. I like to buy her planners. I haven't bought one in a couple years. I've been using Happy Planner, but yeah, she's great. And she lives here in Oregon, so I think that's cool. Anyway. Next up, I have, these are not tarot, these are oracle, I guess, or just spell decks. I think these were Meg made me do it. I'm pretty sure I saw these on her channel, or at least one of them. I'm not sure she had both. These are very cool. I don't use them, and I've thought about rehoming them, but again, grandkids. And I feel like this is one of those things that, this is a little card that comes with it. I feel like this is one of those that if I was a little kid and grandma had one of these decks in her house, I would have been fascinated and obsessed with it. So you get a little image on each one. They feel very like a vintage, and then you get a spell on the back. They're everyday spells. And these are by Chronicle, which Chronicle has come out with a few of these over the years, and I've got another one down here I'll show you, but it's just kind of a cool concept. Am I putting these? Yeah. So if you want a full walkthrough of either of these, let me know. I won't take up too much time because you kind of get the idea. But the images are all different on every card, which I love. And it's just kind of fun to have. So yeah, I thought I'll just hold on to this because I really want to be the cool grandma, right? Like I want to be able to be the one who is open to any kind of conversation about anything they want to talk about and have all kinds of things that are interesting and unique at my house. So did I show you the romance one? I guess I did. Apparently. So this was the one for romance and passion. And this is the one for everyday. Same thing, just different spells. It's just kind of a cool little thing. I got these secondhand on eBay. I think they were like, I don't know, 20 bucks a piece or something. Let's see if I can put that there. But yeah, if you want to see a full walkthrough of these and it's not already out there, which I imagine probably they are, let me know. I wouldn't mind doing a short video on this. But these are ones that, you know, I haven't really shown at all, I think, on my channel. So next is the other one I was talking about from Chronicle. I no longer have the cards in this box. I don't even know why I'm keeping the box because I use the cards again in my journal. I have some of these on my altar as just like reminders of things I like to do somewhat regularly. But mostly I like to have them in my journal. You know, if it's the full moon and I want to do a full moon ritual, I'll do it and then I add it to my journal so that I remember that that's the ritual I did on that full moon. And it's just kept in there because I wasn't using this and I thought using them in that way was much more, made a lot more sense. Okay. Next is an oracle deck from a local creator here in Oregon. And I thought it was a really cute deck. It's all, you know, their original artwork. It's cute. It's colorful. I'll quickly flip through these. I don't remember. Oh, EliseHennessyArt.com. That's their website. I believe, I'm fairly certain they also have an Etsy, but I remember buying this on their website, so they may not have, I don't know. Check out their website. I'm sure they have a link to their Etsy. Look at this one, it's so cute. I like the little messages and it's cute and fun and it's just one of those ones I like to have. I just like to have it around. So I feel like when I do a quick flip like that, they wind up being sideways almost. Try not to do that. I love this one. So, and then this bag they had on their website as well. That's where I got this. And I believe they have a handful of bags available. So if you're interested, go check them out. Okay, next, oops, I'm just gonna throw, all right, these are the 3 Thoth decks that I never use. The other Thoth deck that I have is the Maria. I showed that, I believe, in the second video. I don't use these. I'm not a Thoth person. These two I found at my local library has a secondhand shop. It's just very small, so where you can get like really inexpensive books that I guess they just aren't checking out anymore. And then sometimes they have tarot decks. They happen to have these, and I got both for $100, which is probably more than they're both worth, but I don't know. Anyway, neither one of these are greenies, which is unfortunate. I was so excited to find them, and I couldn't even contain myself. So when he said $100, I was just like sold, and took them and went and sat in my car in the parking garage of the library, looked them up, and was like, oh, well, I just spent $100 on a couple decks that, I don't know. I probably, you know, if you bought these on eBay, you'd probably spend $75 for both of them. I don't know. I don't know enough about any of these to say, other than I know they're not greenies. But I like having a couple. I will not be buying any more Thoth decks. I just don't read Thoth, and until I do, or if I ever do, then I could consider purchasing more at that point. But these are kind of it. I don't really know why I hold on to them. Just, I don't know. Because they're used? I don't know. Very weird. If for some reason you were always looking for this exact deck, let me know. I mean, I might be willing to sell it, you know, if it's something that you are like, OMG, that's the exact one I've wanted. But yeah, I don't think it's worth more than maybe $50 or so. So, and then this one, same thing. I'll show you all the sides so that you can do your own research if you're curious. I will probably be holding on to this one just because it's a big one, and I feel like, I don't know, if I'm going to keep one, I'm going to keep the one where I can see the artwork best, because it is pretty. Don't really need to flip through. As you can see, it's not a greenie. I would love to get my hands on one just to say I have it solely for collection purposes. But yeah, they're out of my price range for what they are. It's not something I'm willing to spend a lot of money on. And then this one, I don't know why I keep this one, other than I just really, really like the artwork. This is another kind of mommy nostalgia one. I don't know why exactly. Just something about it. It's one of those that I've put in my rehome pile multiple times, and every single time it's told me no. Whether or not, maybe it's just not its time to go, or it's just meant for me. I adore this deck. I just like the images. Its energy feels good. So she stays with me for now. Anyway, we've all seen this one more than likely. It's been around for a while. I don't know. I like that it has keywords. I feel like if I was going to learn Thoth, this might be a good one to learn on. Potentially. Okay. Next is the carte Postal. Now, something interesting that I discovered. I don't know why I was looking at their website. I've been watching this creator since they came out with this deck, because the issue with this deck is that it was a Kickstarter. Everyone, I assume, received their deck from Kickstarter, and then they had several decks available afterwards to purchase. And I believe, I'm fairly certain I was not a Kickstarter. I was one that purchased from their website afterwards. 76, so she's got 500 decks, had or has, whatever. But a few months after she made them available, after the Kickstarter ended, there was radio silence. I know there were a few people who ordered decks who never received them. I know shipping was kind of a hassle from wherever she was shipping from. I'm fairly certain she's outside of the US. I don't know if those people ever received their decks, but I know there was a lot of talk about people who hadn't. And her Instagram is dead. Her website was dead. And there was just zero communication. And because it was during COVID, everyone sort of wondered if maybe she hadn't gotten sick. Right? Like, I don't even want to say any more than that. But however, the other day I went to her website, curious, just wondering if she was still available, still around, if she'd made any updates. And on her website, it says that she's doing another print run of this, or a second edition. I don't remember the exact verbiage, for 2025. So sometimes she has been in there and updated. I don't know. I mean, she could have written that 2 years ago, but why would you do that 2 years in advance? I don't know. So I'm assuming that she's been on her website recently. So I would, if you have been wanting this deck and you're willing to risk the potential for non-communication, which I will say, when I bought my deck, it was very slow and the tracking was a little bit sketchy. Not sketchy. It wasn't continuously updated. And so I think it took probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I don't know, a while to get to me. And every time I checked it, it was showing like that it was still in one location. And so I did reach out to her a couple of times and she responded right away, like through email. So if she's around, I can only imagine that she's still responsive. So if you're curious about this deck, it might be worth reaching out to her and seeing if she responds or if she has any information on an update, because I know this deck is hard to get a hold of. So anyway, I find it fascinating. What do I use this deck for? I used this deck. I was going to like a metaphysical salon there for a while here in town. And it was at an old vintage house from like the early 1800s, I want to say. And so I was taking this deck because people were doing readings for each other. And it was fun to have kind of this vintage deck that had that vibe. So it's fun. It's interesting. I don't use it that much. But that's okay. Next, The Weary Riders Tarot by Toni Keniston. This was a Kickstarter a few years ago. I thought this was a fun concept. You get it's very shuffleable, very usable in that way. Here are the backs. Basically, it's tarot, and then every card has a prompt, or like a question that can be a prompt. It's a little bit sweary. It's cute. I like the concept. Have I ever used it? No. I guess I'm just not really sure. I haven't dedicated the time to sit down and really like understand how to use it. And, you know, I bought it sort of as I was coming off of a NaNoWriMo year where I actually won. They call it winning when you write your 50,000 words. So I did, and I wrote a whole book. So I thought, oh, I'll get this deck and then maybe I can write another book or, you know, try to finish the book. But spoiler alert, I have not really done much with the book. I feel like eventually I will. It's one of those things where I would like to finish. I would like to see it published, even if it's only self-published. But every time I go in to edit it, I just don't get very far. I don't enjoy the editing process, so maybe I just need to suck it up and pay for an editor. I don't know. But I thought this would be fun to have. It's a fun concept, and I have I'll put a picture on the screen. I have this series of books that, you know, helps write books. I have a lot of the tools, and I have a tarot for writers book. So I have a lot of the tools. I just need to commit to working on it and getting it finished. But I thought this was a cool deck. Quickly flip through the rest. Yeah, fun little concept tarot. The guidebook, relatively thin, but do I remember? I'm fairly certain there's a book that goes with this, like a full-size book, I think. Maybe not. I don't remember now. If you're curious, if you can't find it, let me know, and I will find information for you. But more than likely, a quick Google search will give you all the info you need, so. All right, next are these two. The Centennial Edition is the first, like, real Rider-Waite that I bought because I didn't like the coloration of this one. And when I got it, I was so annoyed because it's that US Games cardstock that's very stiff. And so for a long time, I just didn't use it. But but then I got stubborn and I put on a movie or a YouTube video. I don't know. I was watching something on TV and I just sat down and I just shuffled the hell out of this deck. And I think the concept of this cardstock is that it will last forever, which yay. It has kind of that waxy coating, but mine's almost gone now from shuffling it so much. Do I really ever use this? No, but I like having it if I want a reference deck. I've got a couple. I know I highlighted another one. So I've got 3 of these like traditional Rider-Waite's, and you know, they're not going anywhere. So I know I mentioned in that last video, the other, when it had the greenbacks, I mentioned probably rehoming it. I'm not quite ready. I know someone reached out and asked how much. I just replied and said I wasn't quite ready. So just FYI. This one, we've all seen it, but I'll just pull it out quickly because I do like to shuffle this. This is a different cardstock. It's US Games again, but it's a different cardstock. It's the blue backs. It's so weird to me that they have different cardstocks. Like, I just wonder the reasoning behind it. Yeah, I don't know. This one's easier, which is why when I pull one out, if I want to use one, I'll probably use this one. And I don't hate the coloration. I think I can see past it now to the meaning of the cards, which helps, you know, me appreciate it for what it is. So, all right, I have 2 more decks to go for this shelf. The first one is, when I bought this, oh, you know what? This is another Lenorand. I forgot about this one because I did say I only had 2 Lenormand decks. This is another one. This is another one I bought. When I bought it, I did not realize it was, I didn't know what Lenormand was. So when I got it, I was like, oh, what even is this? But it's so pretty. Her name is Paulina Tarot, and I'm fairly certain that's how you pronounce it because I read the book Snow Child, and in that book, it was the same name, spelled the same way, and they enunciated the word as part of the story. So unless her name is uniquely pronounced a different way, I'm pretty sure it's Faina. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's cute. I like having it for Christmas. You know, the first couple of years I had this, I did pull it out and use it, but because it's Lenormand, I don't anymore. So, meh. Love it. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. It's too cute to have go anywhere. And look at this bag. Isn't it perfect for it? So, I love having a bag that's perfectly suited for the deck it houses. Do you guys want to know a trick? I'm going to tell you because it drives me crazy. When you tie a bow, if you take the bottom string, see how this one's on the top and this one's the one underneath? Take the one that's underneath. That's the one you bow with, and then you bring the top one over the top, not under. Why would you do that? But then you bring it over the top. And in that way, you get a bow that is straight and not like this. There's your tip of the day. I learned that from a lady I used to work with when I was in my early 20s. I worked at JCPenney. She had daughters and she sewed, and we used to have to tie the bows on dresses like all day because people would try them on for prom. And one day she tied a bow and I was like, oh my God, how did you tie that so perfectly? And she showed me. That was her trick. So now you know. All right, this is my first ever deck, though it is a repurchase because, as I mentioned, I rehomed it sometime in the mid-2000s. Unfortunately, it was my Marie Kondo phase. This is the Mythic Tarot, and I have trimmed it and edged it, and I'm kind of wishing I hadn't. I love the way it looks, but because it's Greek myth, I don't know the images well enough on these for me to necessarily know what they each are. Like, mostly I can figure it out, right? Like, mostly you can figure it out. And this is the original. This isn't like the reprint because I think the reprint is ugly, just being honest. But I keep looking on eBay. I'd like to find an inexpensive, untrimmed version just to have. I don't ever use it, but I like having it as my first deck. So if I were to buy the untrimmed version, would I keep this one? I don't know, maybe. What's the word? Like someone who wants to be true to the practice. Purist? I think I'm a tarot purist, generally speaking. So, but yeah, I never use this. I'm just not into Greek mythology, like at all. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm not against it. I'm just not interested in it. So it's funny that I chose this for my first deck. It was back in the 90s. I bought it at Barnes & Noble, and I knew literally nothing about tarot other than maybe what I had seen on TV, because that was even before, I had a computer. I know my boyfriend, who's now my husband, had a computer, but I bought this before I even was dating him. So no computer, no internet to speak of, so no real way to research tarot in any way. So see, now this one I've tied weird. So the bottom one is this side. This is the top this time. So now I'll make the bow out of this one because it's the bottom. And then I'll bring this over the top. And it makes a nice tidy little bow. Go me. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's video. Thank you again for joining me, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.